Hey y'all, another episode here from the Stewart Farmstead at Crossing Creeks Farm. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips or considerations that I encourage you to think about before you DIY your own farm store. So we built our own farm store back in the summer of 2019. And just to give you a little history before I get into my tips for you, it was the summer of 2019. We have been farming for quite a while, close to 10 years before we opened. So we've been farming for about 15, 16 years. We started in 100% grass-fed beef. And as we slowly began to curate our product and have some available to the general public, we just started selling as we could. And that was very seasonally. We're still pretty seasonal, but we were even more seasonal then just due to limit of supply. And we also were selling out of our carport. I can remember one day after a customer leaving to pick up an order, looking at Shane I remember saying to him, maybe we shouldn't be selling this out of our carport. Maybe we need another space. And that kind of sparked the idea and the dream of our own farm store. And at the same time, our customers, we were gaining repeat customers. They were liking our product and they were asking us for more variety of meats. And so we stepped into raising pastured pork, pastured turkey, chicken, eggs, and began to cultivate a diversity of meats and eggs that we could not just feed our community, but also feed ourselves. That was really important, and it's always been important to us that we're feeding ourselves as well as our community. That's kind of how that dream sparked. Kind of another reason that we decided to go with a store instead of just going to the local farmers market and selling. A big reason was that we wanted to cultivate community, and we wanted that community to have the opportunity to actually come out on a regular basis and see where their food was being created and meet the people behind it, to truly get to know us, not to just set up a booth at a market and take our word for it or an employee's word for that, or just take our word for it on our website. That was just our heart and our passion. That doesn't make, I have no problem with farmers markets. I think they're great. In fact, they're a good place to start. But for us, that was kind of what was behind our vision and dream with having a store on the property, was that we were actually getting to show people, hey, we're real people. This is real work. We're a small family farm. We're doing the very best that we can to provide the best quality meat possible. And here's how that's done. And we've been very blessed to have an amazing community come out and support us and be very loyal to us, and we are extremely grateful for them. But I can remember the summer of 2019 opening the store and opening those doors, and nobody came. Nobody showed up. Nobody was here. And it felt like forever before we had our first customer. I'm sure it was just a matter of a couple weeks, but to me, who really handles a lot of our business end of things, it was like a huge red flag to me. And so we had to kind of go back and look at marketing and pushing and getting the word out there. And word of mouth is your very best marketing, with the best customers to help spread that word of mouth. But it was really challenging in the beginning. But once word began to get out that we were here and we had this kind of a niche product of pasture-raised, organic fed, no soy, no corn, no shots, no medications, just real honest meats and eggs, people really showed up and blessed us. So that's a little bit of our history of why we started the store. But you can absolutely sell out of any infrastructure that you already have on your property. And that's something to consider instead of investing in building. We were at a place where we needed to add this building, and behind this green board is actually the back side of this building is our milk parlor and our milk room. And so we just added a large room onto the construction of that need in order to do our store. So that's how we were able to come about and do this building, was that we were in need of that space because where we were milking, that old barn, the the telephone poles holding it up were like shaking on the bottom at the gravel, and we were like, okay, this sucker's not going to hold up much longer. And so that had to come down, which is where we were milking. We had to put a new shop up, and we needed to build a new place to milk. So that's how that came about, but you can absolutely use whatever space you have. As long as you've got your permits with your state, you can, and are in your guidelines, you can sell where you need to sell. So let me dive on into my top 5 things that I would encourage you to consider before you DIY your own farm store. My number 1 tip for people that I usually always give out as soon as I get a message, what's my number 1 thing that I absolutely think you should make a requirement if you are going to open a store, is glass door freezers and fridges. They're a must. When we started the store, some of the family members did not think that that was important. And so we started with what we had, which you should do too, but we started with chest freezers. There was just chest freezers in the whole store, white big chest freezers. And we could have signs at the yin yang, but if the customer couldn't see the product, they weren't gonna buy it. And they weren't gonna open it. Or if they were gonna open it, they were gonna stand there with it open, letting all the cold air out, just gawking at it. They'd have to dig down in. And so to kind of prove my point, I bought a very inexpensive 2-door glass freezer because the majority of our product is frozen. And I put it in here, moved one of the chest freezers out, put it in here along the rest of the chest freezers, and began to kind of do a little bit of research with customers and what they were gonna buy, what they weren't gonna buy. And I would alternate the product that was in that chest freezer, or excuse me, the glass door freezer. I would rotate it out. Product that I thought they just didn't want and weren't interested in, I'd throw it in there, it'd sell. We began selling a lot more product. I couldn't keep that glass door freezer filled. I had to constantly pull from the chest and refill it, even though I could tell them, oh, that whole chicken you're looking for, it's right there in that chest. Didn't matter. I needed to have it in the glass doors. So after a couple years of being open, we were able to pull our funds together and purchase this large 5-door freezer, which is a huge, huge blessing. And it also gives us a place to store a lot of our inventory. And all those chest freezers moved out into the back shop, and we hold extra inventory back there. We hold orders back there for customers, but in the store, it has got to be glass doors. And that is a huge expense, but that is honest to goodness why we move so much product, and is my number 1 recommendation for you if you're going to DIY your own farm store. All right, my tip number 2 or consideration for you is focus on attractive product labels, please. This is almost a pet peeve of mine after running a store for 6 years. Please, please, please. So we obviously don't only just sell our products, but we sell a lot of other products. We've got a lot of restocks coming, so we look a little slim right now. We've kind of been bought out of a lot of things, but we try to buy local products first. Ugh. Okay, could not get that out. Local products first. But we also bring in other things. In our store, it's a very organic-minded store. That's what our customers are looking for. So those are the products we bring in. And we've learned over time what they like, what they don't like. But the big thing, it's kind of like the glass door thing. They got to be able to see it, and it's got to be attractive, and they got to want it. So focus on creating products with attractive labels, okay? This is important. These are a couple of our products that we make here in our commercial kitchen. We render down our own pork fat. We make a couple spice blends. We do some other things that stay in the freezer case over there from the kitchen, but attractive labels that are clear to read with precise instructions are really important, and I had to learn that the hard way. And it also makes it difficult if you're selling somebody else's product local. That's a local product. They don't always have that focus or ability to create really attractive labels, and so sometimes their products will sit more because of that. They won't sell as quickly because they are not attractive to the customer It's just the consumer world that we live in. Try to focus on really beautiful, well, easy to read, clear, precise labels on your products. It'll help. So another thing to consider is, do you actually enjoy customer service? Not all, but a lot of farmers are introverts, including myself, because we like working one-on-one or by ourselves out in the fields, the pastures, with our plants, with our animals. That's where we thrive. That's what we love to do. So customer service is not always one of our natural gifts. It's not always something we fully enjoy. So consider that before you open a store. Make sure you're going to love that. I do love it. I do enjoy it. Some days it's very draining on me, and I have to step away. I have to take breaks every now and then because it can be a lot. But thankfully, for the most part, all of us in the family seem to enjoy customer service, interacting with our customers, hearing their feedback. We really do enjoy that. And there's enough of us here that we can kind of take turns being in here. But consider if you like customer service or not. One great way to try it out before you invest in building your own store is to commit to one full season at a farmer's market. If you can withstand customer service at a farmer's market, you probably will do okay in your own store as well. But it's a big thing to consider is if you're going to actually enjoy a regular basis of interaction with your customers. Another tip, or something to just consider before you open your store, how are you going to price tag things? I know this seems like a pretty small and not big task, but I spent a while, like at least the first full year, trying to figure out what was the most effective, efficient way for me to price our items in our store. We're small. I don't have the same access and infrastructure and things available to me that a large box store has. So how are we going to price things? Ultimately, what works the best for us and is the least expensive is a price gun. And that's what we use, is a price gun. It's easy, but it also is great because it's easy to change the prices as need be. Unfortunately, we have to adjust prices just like everyone else as items are changing in their wholesale cost to us. We have to make sure that we're always on top of that we're not losing money in items. And so having a way to change out prices easily and quickly is important. Back in the day, I tried to do all the cute little decorative little signs, little chalk signs next to items or little hanging signs. And the reality is that they don't read them. And I would be walking around all day just answering people's question of how much something cost when it was right there at a little sign next to them. This way, we don't have to do that. It's clear, it's precise, it's right there in front of them. And we want them to know before they pick up an item or try to check out with it exactly how much it costs. So we try not to hide what the price is on anything. In the freezers, in the fridge, we're able to use a different label, like a printed label that fits into the shelves, that clips into the shelves, because usually the price gun stickers won't stick on something that's refrigerated or frozen. But for items such as these on the shelves, can't go wrong with a good old price gun. And my fifth tip or thing for you to consider is inventory. If you're going to invest in inventory outside of what you produce on your farm or your homestead, I highly suggest you be cautious. This can be a really big financial risk. I also encourage you to set a budget as to how much you're going to invest in initially before you just dive in and just start buying and go crazy buying. It's taken us years to kind of cultivate this store and figure out what our customers want on a regular basis from us. And that changes too. We'll have a product in here for years and then all of a sudden they'll stop buying it. So you got to be able to be flexible in that. To help us with that investment, one of the things we've done is I've tried to focus on product that my family uses or can uses, and that way, in case something gets left on the shelf and it just doesn't buy, I know that ultimately my family can use it and it's not a complete waste of inventory. But it is something to really consider. In inventory, all your expenses on the upfront, and then you're just hoping that it's going to sell. It makes seem like an amazing product and such a great idea, but they may not buy it. That's a huge risk. And you may not be able to compete with other stores like Amazon or Costco and their abilities and to get prices down lower than you can as a small purchaser, even at wholesale. So it's something to consider if you're going to bring in outside inventory. Be very cautious. Don't spend a lot up front. Focus on products that you believe in, that you're passionate about. That makes it easier for you to sell and encourage others and tell others why you love it so much. It's because it's something that you love and you use at home or in your kitchen or whatever. So consider that. Consider if inventory is really right for you or not. Well, that wraps up my 5 things for you to consider, to think about before you decide to build and open up your own farm store. It's a huge blessing, one that we're incredibly grateful for, but it does take a lot of time, a lot of commitment to run and operate and to operate it well. We're not perfect at it, and we're always looking at new ideas and concepts and marketing to continue to grow it and bless our community with it so that we can stay here and be a sustainable business for our community for years to come. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I ask that you please subscribe, like, and comment. I'd love to hear your comments about if you have a store, what's worked really well for you. I'd love to hear your tips. Or if you're gonna open a store, let me know what you're doing. I'd love to hear all about it. So thanks for joining me here on the Farmstead. Have a great day.